Thank you, Mr. Chairman. General Sessions, welcome back.
Thank you.
We miss you on this side of the dais. We've spent a lot of time in this hearing room together, and thank you for your good and honorable service as Attorney General and the many positive things that have happened at the Department of Justice in the last 9 months. I want to talk with you about an issue that is near and dear to your heart, which is immigration. And I want to cover a couple of areas. Let's start with DACA. I want to commend you, I want to commend the President for doing the right thing, terminating President Obama's illegal executive amnesty program. It was contrary to federal law. It was contrary to the President's responsibility under Article 2 of the Constitution to take care that the laws be faithfully executed. And it directed federal law enforcement officers to disregard binding federal law. So I commend you for announcing the suspension of that program. As you know, the President has indicated that it is now for Congress to legislate a program addressed to those DACA recipients. And there are right now considerable ongoing debates and discussions within Congress about how, if and whether to do so, and if so, how. My first question is, does the Department of Justice have a position on whether Congress should legislate a new amnesty program for DACA recipients?
The Department has not taken a position formally on that. The President has certainly left the door wide open and indicated that he would favor something like that, and it certainly would be a lawful and proper thing for Congress to do.
So my understanding is, as of September of 2017, there are 689,800 individuals currently with a DACA registration. There have been estimates done that there are nearly 2 million potentially eligible DACA recipients in the country. In your personal judgment, should those nearly 2 million people here illegally in this country be eligible for United States citizenship?
My best judgment that I've expressed over the years, that someone who enters the country unlawfully, if they're given some sort of legal status, a normal legal status, should not get everything that would flow to people who properly wait their time and enter lawfully. So I've not taken a position that that would support citizenship for those who've entered illegally.
Well, certainly as a senator on this side of the dais, I think you have multiple times spoken with great passion on the issue. As Attorney General, do you have any view on whether those here illegally should be eligible for U.S. citizenship?
Well, I haven't changed my view at this point.
Let me ask you, as Attorney General, if those some 2 million people here illegally that are potential DACA recipients were granted green cards and ultimately U.S. citizenship, do you have concerns about the next step of chain migration of those individuals then bringing in potentially 3, 4, 5 million relatives as the second step of an amnesty program?
Yes, that needs to be evaluated. And when you use the figure 2 million, it just raises the question that we should think carefully about, like who would qualify for a DACA program if one were to be carried out. And the President has made clear, and I think he cares about this, that he cares about young people who came here at a young age, but he also believes that the nation should have an immigration policy that serves the national interest, and that it should not be, it should be a more merit-based policy like Canada, and that's something I have believed in for a number of years.
So let me ask a different question. In your personal judgment, should those here illegally be made eligible for public welfare and for billions in both federal and state and local funds to provide for their various needs?
If people are here unlawfully, it strikes me as that the last thing you would want to do is subsidize that unlawfulness. and you should not be normally eligible for benefits. There may be some things we will do, no doubt about it, but still, fundamentally, a person should not be attracted to enter the country unlawfully and then demand lawful benefits.
Let me shift to a different topic under immigration, which is border security. I want to commend the administration. Early on, we saw dramatic decreases in illegal crossings in the neighborhood of a decrease of 2/3 in the opening months of the administration. I commend you for that. I will say I am concerned by reports I'm hearing from the border. I'm concerned, according to the public numbers in August of this year, Customs and Border Protection saw a 22% increase in apprehensions and inadmissible persons at ports of entry. I had a conversation recently with a rancher in South Texas who described to me how he said early in the year the number of illegal crossings had dropped significantly, but throughout this summer he's seen those numbers spiking up again. And he was very concerned that it was returning to levels that we saw earlier. Are you concerned about that, and what is the Department of Justice and the Department of Homeland Security doing to prevent that?
I'm very concerned about it. The President's own strong leadership resulted in a decline, we believe, of almost half of the attempted entries into the United States. Colleagues, if you make clear the border's closed and we back it up, there's no doubt the attempts to enter unlawfully will plummet. This is not an impossible task for America to secure the border. But so they're challenging us now. There are many, many problems with our ability to enforce the law, some loopholes of monumental proportions, and I strongly believe that legislation from Congress is going to be essential for doing what the American people want. So a lawful system they can be proud of.
Let me ask one final question. I recently did a town hall with a number of Border Patrol agents and visited with a significant number of Border Patrol agents all along the Rio Grande. And what I'm hearing from the Border Patrol agents is that the policies of catch and release of the Obama administration are still continuing in the current administration. That is highly troubling. When I heard those reports in January and February, I told them, give the administration some time to get their team in place, to change policies. You can't turn a battleship overnight. It's now October. Is the Trump administration continuing the policy of catch and release? And if so, what is the plan to end that policy?
I'm glad you asked that question. In 2011, we had a backlog of immigration cases of 300,000. It's now over 600,000. 5,000 people in 2009 who were apprehended at the border claim they should not be deported because they have a fear of being sent back home. Last year, it increased from 5,000 to 94,000. And those people are basically entitled to hearings. And this is a loophole that's too big. And we need to create some sort of control over it. We're looking at if there are any things that we can do effectively short of legislation, but there's no doubt, Mr. Chairman, we need legislation on this subject and several others. We are adding judges. We've added, I think, 50 already. We'll have another 40 by January. And the backlog, instead of going up, will be going down. And we'll continue to work at that, but legislation is critical.
General, my time has expired, but if I could just ask for a direct yes or no on whether catch and release is still the policy.
And essentially, it's not the policy. It's just the reality that there are so many people claiming and being entitled to hearings that we don't have the ability to provide those hearings, and they're being released into the community, and they're not coming back for their hearings. It's still unacceptable.